So this is exactly why I wanted to show this clip of him explaining what's happening in the economy today with our government. And this is another thing, another reason why I was explaining in the Discord community why it's like this is the wrong time to sit on the sidelines. This is the wrong time to pretend like nothing is happening. This is the wrong time to ignore the news about what is happening in our government with inflation, with interest rates, with jobs. There are massive layoffs across several industries, various sectors, mass layoffs just happening every single week, month, you name it, this entire year of 2025. And the fact that I wanted to point out to people, like when I began going live, I really wanted to point out to people, like, listen, in this economy, it is difficult to come up with a lump sum of money to take advantage of some of these so-called courses out here that people are claiming have real value, right? That they're going to teach you how to invest in real estate, or teach you how to invest in the stock market, or teach you how to build a business, whether it's e-com or some other sort of business. They're going to teach you how to, create a reliable side hustle and things of that nature. And when I looked at that, we unfortunately we live in a world where there's a lot of greed that's going on, right? There's a lot of greed that's present, and because of that, we have, as a result, scams, lots of scams and deceptions, right? So this is why I really wanted to highlight this point, because when I thought about this, I really took a hard look at this, and I said to myself, I hate the fact that all of these people are claiming, like, oh yeah, just buy my course, buy my course, buy my course, buy my course, buy my course. You end up spending all of this money. Then they ask you to not only buy their course, but then they encourage various, people to, like, go in debt just to buy their course, whether you spend using your credit card and things of that nature. I mean, it's just crazy the way. And then they try these whole pressure sales tactics to try to coerce you into, buying their course, and like, oh, well, if you don't do it today, then maybe your financial future isn't that important to you. And yeah, okay, well, if you just want to continue to remain broke or living paycheck to paycheck, and all of that stuff is nonsense, man. But what I can tell you is what I decided to do is I said that, you know what, I have money. I've been making money for the past couple of years, for the past decade, right? And so I was like, yo, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and spend the money for some of the courses that I believe is legitimate, that offers real value. I will do my due diligence, whether it takes me 6 months to a year or greater. I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to if I find a viable coach or mentor or a course, I will spend the money, and then I'm going to share whether or not this is a legitimate program, course, or mentorship, right? This is what I decided to do. Now, in this case, I started going live to share with you all that I paid $3,500 to join Scarface Trades mentorship. All right. Scarface Trades mentorship. And let me just pull it up here. So those of you who may not be familiar with Scarface Trades. And Jack is his number 2 pro trader. He's in the mentorship program as well. But let me pull this up. Scarface Trades. So this guy here, Scarface Trades, I paid $3,500 to join his mentorship. It's a one-time fee. One-time fee. I do not get paid to promote this man's mentorship. All right. I don't have any incentive whatsoever from Scarface, Tony, his real name is Ralph, to promote his mentorship. But the reason why did I do it though? Why did I decide to do this is because I understand where this economy is headed. This current administration is cutting programs. A lot of the programs that many people are depending on, whether it's healthcare, whether it's Section 8, whether it's some form of housing assistance, some sort of food assistance, whatever the case is, This administration is looking to cut those programs. How do I know this? Because every single day I jump into Forex Factory. This is the economic calendar, and the news is right here, right? Every time it shows us the red and orange folder news that's happening, right? What the actual, what the actual, let me pull this over so you guys can see this more clearly. What the actual results are, like here's what the forecast is, here's what the actual results are, and here's what the previous results were. Okay. And so many people are just listening to what's happening on the news when the Fed member like Powell speaks, or some of these other Fed members speak, and hearing, oh, well, we're looking at this. We do see a spike in inflation. We do see, job loss. Unemployment came in significantly higher. Unemployment claims came in significantly higher, and people are. And listen, like I'm trying to explain it simply to people. Like, okay, if you want to continue to sit back and not make a move in 2025 to position yourself so that you can take care of yourself and your financial responsibilities as well as your loved ones, man, it's going to be a sad, sad day. A sad, sad day for you and your family, because if you're banking on, listen, jobs are not going to be able to keep up with inflation. That's point blank, period. All right. It just doesn't work that way. And the fact is that the debt and the credit rating, the reduced credit rating of our country, that is a big, big deal. Okay. He said it simply. I don't need to belabor that point. Uh, It's a big deal. Okay. That's a very big deal. And with these tariffs, okay, with these tariff negotiations and things of that nature, if this thing goes south, it could get really, really ugly for many of us in this country, which is why I've been encouraging people to pay very close attention, not only to what's happening in the market, but that's why I'm providing free access. Free. Okay, I paid $3,500. I'm providing free access to allow people to watch and learn for free how to day trade. I show people how you can make $100 a day if you wanted to, simply just $100 a day, even trading Tesla with the cheaper lower delta contracts. I did it for 4 months straight and amassed $20,000 over the course of 4 months trading those cheaper contracts. Okay. And so I'm showing people, demonstrating live every single week how this is possible so that you can put some extra money in your pocket. Why? Because prices are only going to continue to increase. Okay. And the value of your dollar is going to decrease. It's going to continue to decrease. All right. So what we could pay, what we could buy for $1 yesterday is not going to be the same today and in the future. So that's the point. That's the overall point. And I really wanted to find, I wanted to figure out the best way to highlight why it's important to stay abreast on what's happening in the marketplace, in the economy, when you're not only just an investor, but now you have to pay attention to this, even if you're not an investor and you're just working a regular job. You see what I'm saying? So even if you're just working a job, this is important, because we're not in the same economy that it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or whatever the case may be. All right, this is a totally different economy, and things are changing very rapidly, and it's catching a lot of people by storm, off guard, and that's unfortunate. So I decided, I'm like, listen, I'm going to spend the money. I'm going to find out what's what. I'm going to find out what's real and what's true. Then I'm going to provide people with real data, real evidence that they can see, like, yo, okay, this is good. And we could talk about it. I could continue to share and, pay for these other mentorships and other programs and courses to see if it's real, if these side hustles are real or not. And the one thing I know, look at this. The one thing I know is that if I go to my trade journal here, hopefully you all can see this clearly. If I go to my trade journal here, I made $85,000 in one freaking trade. Now, can a new trader expect to do this if they don't have, if they only have $100? No, 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 no. That's not the point. What I'm showing you here is how it's possible to make this kind of money in one single trade. In one single trade. That's what's crazy. Like, I never thought. I was working as a software engineer and I was making $150,000 a year. And I was working 60-hour weeks. Okay, let me calm down just a little bit. I'm so freaking afraid for people in this economy. That's why I'm doing it. I'm like super passionate about this. I wasn't playing around. I wanted to do something to add something positive to this world. You know, I'm 46 large and I hate the way there's so many scams and so much deceptions and so much greed going on, and nobody cares about helping out other people. The love is gone. All right. But I've decided, like, yo, just because other people are being evil and mean and not trying to help out other people in this world, I know I came from the hood, from the projects. I know all of the bad things that I used to do back in the day. But now I have the opportunity to do something good and to pay it forward. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now, trying to help people understand, like, you can make $25 a day, you can make $20 a day, and that money can go a long way to help you pay off your debt. I was making 150,000 a year as a software engineer, working 60, 80-hour weeks, being stressed out of my mind. Okay. And this is what was bugging me. And I was able to make $85,000 in one trade in one day. Yo, this is like, I'm still struggling to wrap my mind around this. Okay. And now tell me, you can't see that you can make $1,000 a day? $1,000 a day? Like, all you have to do is just consistently just keep following the system, staying disciplined, and recording your trades, paying attention to the data, staying consistent, not chasing after the money, not chasing after trades, just being consistent with the strategy, waiting patiently for the setup, and executing when it's appropriate. That's it. And then you will start to slowly stack up your money. That $10 is going to turn into $20. That 20 is going to turn into 40. That 40 is going to turn into 80. That 80 will turn into 120 or 160. And then before you know it, you'll be able to continuously take advantage of compounding, right? This is going to allow your trades to exponentially grow. You can have one swing trade. Now, let me show you this. I made $85,000 on this one trade, on this trade. Now I'm going to pull up the chart here. I'm going to pull up Tesla chart and I'm going to show you guys something, because I need you all to see this. I need you all to see this. So let me know if you can't see this chart clearly in the live. Let me know if you can't see this chart clearly. Okay. I want to make sure everyone can see this clearly. Now I'm in trading view. I'm going to jump over to the 15-minute time frame. I'm going to jump over to the 15-minute time frame, and I want to show you when I took this trade. This was September the 4th is when I entered this trade. Okay. September the 4th. All right. This is the 4th of September. Okay. Starting here. This is the pre-market. This is when I took this trade. Now, I've been watching Tesla for an entire year, starting in 2024 when I went on a leave of absence from my job. Okay. Due to the stress and mental stress and all of that stuff that I was on leave of absence for an entire year from that job. Okay. And so during this time, I was looking into, okay, what am I going to do next to make money? So I heard that somebody was making money, $100,000 a trade off of Tesla. And I just couldn't believe it. I said, how do you make $100,000 a day off of trading some stock? That just seemed unreal to me. It seemed unreal. And so I started watching Tesla, just learning and trying to understand, like, how are people doing this? How did they do that? So I've been watching it for an entire year. And what I observed from Tesla specifically is that when Tesla has a significant drop, right, an aggressive drop to the downside, you could call it a dip, whatever you want to call it. But when there's an aggressive drop to the downside, Tesla does these V-shaped reversals or a V-shaped recoveries. Okay. And that is what I was waiting for. Now, I had been seeing it for the entire year, every single time it does it, every single time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait for the right moment when I feel confident enough to take this trade. And when I take this trade, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to go all in. And that's exactly what I did Thursday, September the 4th. Now, I captured this whole move, right? This whole move. So this is like from let's say from 331 all the way up to 354. 331 to 354. This is a $20 move. Okay, this is a $20 move. All right. This is how I was able to make $85,000 in one trade, one day, just one day. Okay. Now, listen, now watch this. Here's the rest of the week, though. Here's Monday, right? So this was Thursday and Friday. I captured this move, closed out because this is a 0 day. So I had to get out of the trade, right? I had to get out of the trade Friday, right? So I took the money as soon as we reached the top, exited the entire position, right? Secured the profit, secured the bag. Now here's Monday. Look, we dropped, right? Consolidation. Here's Tuesday, more consolidation. Here's Wednesday, up. Here's the indication, right, that we might move higher. So we spiked higher right in the beginning at the open, and then we dropped. This was crazy. Then we dropped. Now, what do we do in the post-market? Consolidation. What do we do in the pre-market? Consolidation. And then right at the open on Thursday, we spiked higher. Look at this move. We spiked higher. And then Friday, more continuation higher, right? And then in the pre-market, jumping into the following week, Monday, more continuation. This is where Elon decided to invest, back into the company, right? Spent a significant amount of money to buy more shares of Tesla, right? And so we had this nice push higher. Now, I had a paper trade running for the same trade. So I entered a live trade, right, to secure to enter this trade on Thursday, September 4th. And I also simultaneously entered a paper trade for the same amount. So it took me 25,000. I entered a position of size of 25K. 25K was the position size. Now, I don't want you to focus on the 25K because I'm going to show you something. Because if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't have 25K, so this is irrelevant. No, it's not. I'm going to show you why this is relevant to you, even if you only have a budget of $500, okay, or 600 or 1,000, whatever the case may be. I'm going to show you. Just bear with me. Now, I said, remember, I have been watching this. This wasn't a guess. This wasn't some me just hoping and praying that the market was going to, show favor and make me some money. No, I have been watching this for an entire year, studying Tesla, studying the way it behaves. Okay. So now, I simultaneously entered two trades, right? With my live trade and my paper trade, right? Same amount, 25, 25. Okay. Now I wanted to see what would happen if I continued to hold this position, right? So 25K from the September 4th all the way to this point made a total of $144,000. $144,000. Now, you might ask, well, why didn't you just, get back into the trade? Why didn't you just, do that? It's because there's more to it, right? We have to be careful. One of the things that you have to do when it comes to capital is to protect it while you're trying to grow it. Okay. There is no guarantee that there would have been continuation because look how we spiked higher on Friday and then dropped all the way back down to this low, right? So what if it had continued lower? Okay. And what if there was an aggressive sell-off and it just continued to sell, right? This is what I can't predict the markets. I don't know what the market is going to do. So it's best when you see profit, you take it. Now, when I get to the point where I'm stacking significant, money, if I'm able to continue doing $1,000 a day, then that's almost 20,000, 15, 20,000 a month, right? So going into next year, I will be able to jump right back into these type of trades for 25,000 and take that risk. But I'm not going to do that. I'm like, yo, I wasn't even expecting an $85,000 gain for this trade. So when I saw that, I'm like, yo, I'm getting out. All right. I'm going to lock in this bag. I'm not playing with it. Okay. Yeah, I could have caught more money to the upside, but there's also the potential where I could have lost what I just gained. Okay. I've seen it happen plenty of times when trading Tesla. Okay. So Here's what I wanted to show you guys. When you're trading a particular stock, I'm using Tesla in this example, but when you're trading a particular stock, if you're sticking to the script, by script I mean sticking to your strategy and only trading your setup that fits your strategy, right? Then there will be times where you will be in a trade and you will capture this move. You may capture a move like this, and you will benefit greatly from that particular move. It's not is not so much, and this is what I've seen, and I've been watching, listening to other experienced traders who've been doing this for years, and they all said the same thing. It's not when you just guess and jump into a trade hoping to make money, but you're consistently following your strategy and you just happen to be in a trade that works out like this. Okay, that works out like this, and you benefit greatly, and it can significantly grow your income. Okay, so from 25,000, I jumped to 85,000 from that initial $25,000 position. Now, I had 60 cons. Now I'm going to show you. Here's why it's relevant to those of you who might say, "Oh, well, I don't have $25,000." It doesn't matter, because I was showing people how you can make money from Tesla trading contracts as cheap as $100. So it doesn't matter. But I'm going to show you something, right? 25K divided by 60, because 60 contracts is what I bought, right? For that 25K, 60 contracts was what I paid. I paid $25,000 for 60 contracts. Now that means each contract was a little over $400. All right, so hopefully you all can see this clearly on the screen. All right, I paid $25,400 per contract, 60 contracts. Now, if you bought just one contract for $416 that Thursday, all right, same as I did. Now let's do the math. $416. If I made 85, right? If I made 85 divided by 60, that's $1,400. That's $1,400. So what does that mean for you? If you had bought one $400 contract, how much would you have made? You would have made $1,416. That's the power of options. That's why I'm showing people like, yo, okay, I've been learning from two mentors. I joined Scarface Trades. I actually joined his mentorship second. All right. The first one was this guy's. Let me duplicate this tab and go to, oops. All right, the first guy that I joined his mentorship, and his mentorship is much cheaper. He only charges $10 a month for to join his Discord. And in his Discord, and I can show you guys this. Let me pull this up too. And then I'll pause to answer questions if you all have any, but give me a second here. So here's let me move this out the way. Here's his Discord, right? And so in his Discord, hopefully you guys can see this clearly, he has 5 pro traders, okay? 5 pro traders, including himself, right? And so this guy, Curtis, is the guy that I started watching, because every Thursday, and I joined this mentorship back in October of 2024, okay? I wasn't trading, I was just watching and learning. So I joined this mentorship back in October 2024, and I started watching this guy, Curtis, because he was going live every Thursday for free to show how to trade the markets, all right, using the break and retest strategy. But he uses the MA, he uses the moving average. So it's a breakout and retest of the moving average. So he uses the 9, 20, the 9 or the 20, or you can use the 5, but he was using the moving average. But anyway, so I started watching this guy live, and that's when I started, to learn about how to day trade using the break and retest. Then I was looking for someone who was actually trading Tesla. And that's when I ran across Scarface Trades. And I was like, oh, okay, let me join his mentorship. I did my due diligence starting in October, started watching some of his videos. And then I started to implement what I was learning from his videos. And from his videos, I made $20,000 that 1 week trading Tesla. All right. So I was like, yo, okay, so this guy's information works. If I was able to implement it, try it, and it worked, I made $20,000, no cap. All right. And so when I did that, I was like, yo, well, long story short is I ended up trading not Tesla, but SPY and SPX because of a friend told me, he was like, man, you should look at this stock and da 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 da, because the way it moves, you might, quadruple your money. And I listened to him like an ignorant fool. And I started trading these two indexes, and I had no familiarity with these indexes whatsoever. And I ended up losing $45,000. All right, so I ended up losing $45,000. So that was the 20,000 that I just made plus 25,000 of my own money. All right, and I've been showing this for everyone who was watching my live. I showed all the wins, all the losses, everything, all the drawdowns, everything. Total transparency. I was showing people. Now, then people were able to see me consistently move out of that drawdown to the point where I'm at today, September, 6 months later, right? From March, because that's when I started trading, from March of 2025 up to this point, September, right? So from March to September, this is my 6-month journey so far. This is my progress. Consistently making profits. I did suffer drawdowns because I made significant mistakes. I was still learning. But here's the point where I'm at today, where I'm able to share with you that, listen, okay, I just made my biggest trade. I thought 20,000 was going to be my biggest trade. I never expected to make 85. Okay, 85K in a single trade. I just happened to be paying attention, and I capitalized on this opportunity. I executed, went all in, and made the money. Okay, significant trade. This is what I did. Okay, and I was rewarded for that. Now, I want to pause here because I want to talk about how I've been making these trades. Right, I'm still using the break and retest strategy that I learned from not Curtis, but Scarface. I want to show a brief demonstration on how I modified just slightly the approach that Scarface Trades use to trade the market, right? All right, so they use the breakout and read. For those of you who are completely new to this, they use what's called the break and retest strategy. It's a very, very simple strategy to implement. It's very easy to learn. It's not complicated whatsoever. And that's why I like it, for its simplicity. All right. So it's the break and retest strategy. And what you identify is some sort of opening range, right, for your entry. Now, there's several opening range models that you can use. All right. One is the pre-market high and low. The second is the previous day high and low. The third is the 5-minute high and low. The fourth is the 15-minute high and low. And if you want to swing trade or take longer position trades, then you'll use the higher time frames. Okay. But that's what they use. Okay. Break and retest strategy. So whether it breaks out above or below one of those opening ranges, then they wait for a retest. They wait for confirmation, whether it's aggressive weak price action or strong price action, either on the side of buyers or sellers, and then they execute the trade, right? But here's the thing that I noticed with Scarface. Now, he's a multimillionaire, okay? Let me make that clear. He's a multimillionaire, but here's the thing that I noticed with him. If I zoom over to the 1-minute chart, and like I said, I'm going to pause and answer questions because that was the whole point here. But let me just state this point, and then I'll pause and answer questions. All right. So what I noticed with Scarface Trades is, here's what he'll do. So let's say that we have this, we're waiting for a breakout and retest of this key level here. So this is going to be the level. Let me zoom in just a little bit more so you all can see this on the live. Stretch this out a little bit. Okay, so assuming this is the key level here, and I'm going to activate my drawing tool here. So this is the key level, this yellow line here. And we're just waiting for a breakout above or below this level, and then a retest back near this level, right? And what they will do, Scarface Jack, which is his number 2 pro trader, they'll wait for this breakout, they'll wait for the retest, and then they'll look for weak price action. Now you can see with this candle, this definitely demonstrates weak price action. And then they'll look to scale at low of day, right? So this is the low of day, and they'll look to scale at low of day. Now they'll enter the trade here upon weak price action, right? And then they'll capture this move, and then they'll begin to scale out. Now, they typically take about 50 to 100 contracts, 50 to 100 contracts. And then they'll scale out 20 to 25% of those contracts at high or low of day. In this case, it's low of day, right? And then they'll sit through this. They'll sit through this pullback. Okay. They'll sit through this pullback with that large position, right? They still have about 75% of their position. They're still holding it. Okay. And they will hold it until it breaks back above their stop loss limit. So let's consider this is the breakout. This is the key level. So they'll stop out of this trade like a break, slightly a break above this key level, right? In this case, since we're to the downside. So a slight break above this key level is when they'll exit the trade. But they'll sit through this pullback. And that pullback, even if it reaches their stop loss or doesn't reach their stop loss, that for 75% of their position, that's $5,000, $10,000, or $14,000 that they could suffer in that drawdown. Okay. And that's the part that's crazy to me. Now, it works for them. It works for them. But for me personally, I do not want to see that type of drawdown. I don't care how much money I have in my brokerage account, which those of you who've been watching me, you know how much money I have in my brokerage account. I don't care. Yes, I could afford it, but I don't want to see it. I just don't want to see those type of drawdowns. So what I decided to do, and I'm going to pause right here before I show you the modified version of the strategy that I'm using. But what I've decided to do was modify that approach just slightly. And instead of sitting through this entire pullback, I'll go in 20 to 40 cons in this one candle. I'm on the 1 minute. So this one candle is 60 seconds. So 20 to 40 cons, which will cost me anywhere between like 25 to 40K, right? So I'll go in 25, 20 or 40 cons, and I'll scalp this for the entire candle, right? And then I'll exit the entire position right before it closes, right? Two or 3 seconds right before it closes, and I'm exiting all, 20 or 40 cons. I might leave one contract trailing because for Tesla, that one contract is more than likely $1,000. So my total risk for one contract will just be $1,000. So I'm okay with sitting through this pullback with just one contract, but I'm not okay with sitting through this type of pullback or to even allow it to reach my stop loss with, 50 or 30 or 75% of my position. So I'm going to pause right here and start to answer any questions. So I'm not going to scroll all the way back up to the top, but if you do have a question, please drop that in the live chat right now so I can start answering those questions, because scrolling up to find those questions is a pain. So I'm not going to do that. All right. Any questions? Any questions? I appreciate the likes, appreciate the follows. Thank you all. All right, I give you all just a minute to retype your questions if you have any. All right. So I don't see any questions in the live chat. Like I said, if you entered a question in the live chat previously, just go ahead and retype it because I don't want to scroll all the way up because it's a pain. LJ says very clear explanation. Thanks. Okay, cool. All right. So what this is the key that I've been trying to, share with people. Like, listen, when you the fact that I'm providing an opportunity to watch these types of traders trade live, like Scarface trades, for free. I paid the cost so that other people can benefit from this because I just showed at the beginning of this pre-market prep why it's important to pay attention to what's happening in today's economy because the prices are not going to decrease, they're going to increase. So I'm just going to recap what we talked about earlier at the beginning of this live session. I played a brief video that from a content creator that explained very simply why it's important and what's happening in the current economy today and why it's important to pay attention because what's happening in our economy today will likely impact many households as it has already done so far, all right, in this year, 2025. Now, with inflation, with tariffs, with the uh, uh, mass layoffs on the federal side, as well as the you know uh, other industries like in corporate America, all these various companies that are having these mass layoffs in the tech sector, in various sectors, it doesn't even matter. Okay, there are mass layoffs happening, and not only that is the current administration is cutting the funding for so many programs that people have been relying upon. Okay, so whether it's healthcare or some other form of assistance, these programs, the funding for those programs have been cut, and they will continue to cut them. And many people are being caught off guard, right? And that's the unfortunate part. So what is the correlation between this pre-market prep and that news? Is because I've been sharing with people like, listen, red folder, the scheduled news that we look at every single day as an investor to understand what's happening in the marketplace and how that could either positively impact the market or negatively impact the market. We need to understand what's happening, right? So that scheduled red and orange folder news is very significant because it can impact your trade, all right? So, but what is that news specifically? Well, it's economic news, right? And this is the news that covers employment data, the gross domestic product, what's happening in our country. Are we doing well? Are we performing well financially, or are we performing poorly? And you can still make money if the economy is not performing properly. You can still make money. The funny thing is, you can still make money in the marketplace. In this marketplace, it's odd to even hear that. And many people are just like, yo, how do you make money on a stock if the stock is dropping in price? And that's even difficult for people to fathom. But my point is that this forces you to pay attention more closely to what's happening in our current economy when you're checking out this red and orange folder news. And so I had a couple of people that I know that was planning on leaving their jobs, and I was like, "Well, have you heard about the news?" And it was like, "What news?" I was like, "Well, there's a huge problem in the jobs market right now, and there's a huge hiring freeze. There are people with all sorts of credentials that are struggling to find gainful employment with their master's degrees, doctorate degrees, bachelor's degrees. It doesn't matter because now they're competing with so many other people in the marketplace like never before. All right. So now the competition is more fierce. And I'm like, well, if you have a job now, you might want to hold on to that because unless you have a solid income producing plan, alternative, plan. Because otherwise, if you're planning on like, oh, well, maybe I'll just try to get a new job later on if this plan doesn't work out. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't make that move if I were you. I wouldn't make that move. And for those who were sitting on the sidelines in some of my previous live sessions when they were just watching, I'm like, I didn't start these lives just for people to just spectate and watch. I started it because I wanted people to take advantage of this free information so that they could start making money to start paying down their debt. I am debt free. I use one credit card to pay all my bills. And you can see from my trade journal, I make enough money to pay off that credit card in its entirety every single month. Okay, every single month. All right. I own my home free and clear. I invest in real estate. So I just buy and sell properties. And I invest in the stock market, to as an options trader to, make, significant money in a day and, in a couple of minutes or whatever. But my debt is gone. Okay. My debt is gone. I don't have debt. And because my home is paid for, I have what's called a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. Okay. A home equity line of credit. And they give you like a card. It's a debit card. It's like a debit card. And I have access to all the equity in my property. So just in case if there's an emergency and I need to like spend some significant money, I don't know, although I don't need to do that because as you can see, I'm making money just trading stock options. But it's nice to have, right? My home is a personal bank for me, right? So because it's owned free and clear, so I could just swipe, if I needed to do that. But my credit cards are I'm debt free. Okay, I'm debt free. My credit score is great. I'm now approaching 800. If I'm not, I haven't checked it in the past 2 months because I stopped checking it because it just fluctuates because of my credit card usage. So it'll kind of fluctuate between like 700, low 700s to like close to 800. So, but I'm trying to show people like, yo, now is not the time for you to be faking, pump faking. All right. Now is the time for you to really identify before this year closes and before you enter into 2026. You need to understand, like, what are you going to do as an alternative income solution? Because I'm trying to show people, like, I don't know how else to explain it, but the fact that you can make money very simply here in the stock market, just day trading stock options or swing trading stock options, this is to me the best solution that you could have. To me, this is it. To me, this is it. I don't know what else to say. With that said. But anyway, all right. So what I want to talk about is briefly this scalping strategy. All right. So it's still the same breakout and retest strategy. The only difference is I'm not sitting in an entire position. So I don't care if I take buy 3 cons, 2 cons, or 20 cons, 50 cons. It doesn't matter. All right. So you can do this as well, even with the lower delta contracts. These are the cheaper Tesla contracts, or you could do this with some other stock if you don't want to trade Tesla. I like to trade Tesla because I can just make money off of Tesla just trading it. I don't need to trade any other stocks because, like I said, I've been watching it for an entire year, so I know I can make money just trading Tesla. All right. So even when my mentor, like Scarface, is trading other stocks like Apple, those of you who've been watching me, you'll see I'm still trading Tesla. But they'll make their money trading Apple or Meta or some other stock. And I'm still going to just watch Tesla because I know if I just patiently wait for Tesla to set up, it will set up at some point and I can go ahead and trade it and make my money. And that's what I've done. So with this particular strategy, right, breakout and retest, it doesn't matter what direction or what opening range you use, whether you use the pre-market high or low, just a recap. It doesn't matter what opening range you decide to use for the break and retest. You can use the first 5-minute high and low, first 15-minute high and low, pre-market high or low, or previous day high or low. It doesn't matter which one you decide to choose. But whatever, you're just simply waiting for a break a breakout above or below that key level, and then a retest back to that key level. In this example, we're looking at a breakout below this particular key level and the retest near that key level. All right. Now, once we have the retest, I enter upon this weak price action, right? This is a down close candle. So this is where sellers are stepping in aggressively to push the price lower, right? Now, I want you to see something here. What I like about this scalping strategy or approach that I'm using um, is the fact that I can wait until I see sellers or buyers stepping in aggressively. And as you can see from my trade journal, this works it's been working consistently. I started doing this after this 8K trade or 8K loss last 2 weeks ago, Monday, when I was trying to sit in the same position like Scarface trades, and we took 3 trades, I think, that day, and I ended up suffering a loss of $8,000. And I had said to myself, I was like, yo, okay, this is the final time that I'm going to try to sit in a trade with these guys during these pullbacks until it reaches a stop loss. And after this 8K loss, I was like, yo, I'm not doing it again. I'm just not doing it again. I don't like it. And so then I was practicing. I was like, yo, but you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing an opportunity to maybe just modify this slightly, go in heavy, and then exit the majority of my position during this same candle. So I decided to test it in the paper trades, and it worked. And I was like, okay, let me test it on the live trade, and it worked. So what I do now is when I see this aggressive move, right, whether it's to the downside or the upside, I'm waiting though. I'm waiting very patiently for a certain move, right? So let's look at this leg of the trend, right? So if this is the downtrend, if we look at this entire context, if this is the downtrend, in this leg, we have a pullback here and a pullback here, okay? Now, in these pullbacks, let's take a look at these up close candles, all right? 1, 2, 3. Now, what I'm looking for is, obviously, I'm looking for weak price action toward the downside, right? Now, when sellers start to step in, you'll start to see this candle forming more quickly, more rapidly, right? And as sellers are stepping in aggressively, I'm waiting to see, like, are we going to reclaim these price levels, right? How quickly are we reclaiming these price levels? So for example, in this example, I want to see sellers stepping in, pushing price below these 2 up close candles here. When I see that, I want to capture at least 40 cents of this dollar move, because this one candle moved $1. If you look at the low of this candle and the high of this candle, it moved almost $2, a little over $2. This actually moved over $2. All I need is 40 cents of that $2 move, right? Given the number of contracts that I'm buying. All you need is 40 cents or $1 of this move if you're buying the cheaper lower delta contracts. Okay, so you can make $100, you can make $25, you can make $20 on that one move. Okay, and you could do this consistently every single day if you wanted to, or just once a week if you wanted. But this is what I wait for. So as soon as I see that we've just pushed below these price levels with weak price action, then I go ahead and execute the trade. And before this candle close, remember, I'm on the 1 minute time frame. So this is a 60-second candle. So before this candle closes, 2 seconds before, I'm exiting the entire position or leaving one trailing contract, right? That way, I'm okay with the one single contract sitting through a pullback and even potentially a stop out, right? Because one contract for Tesla, That could be like a $25 loss or a $50 loss, but I can really manage, I can more easily manage that one contract than I can 20 or 40 cons. But being able to do it this way allows me to go in heavy initially, right? Capture that momentum, capture that significant gain, exit the vast majority of my position, and then just either leave one contract trailing or just take the profit and just go and be done for the day, right? And you could do that with one contract, you could do it with two contracts, or you could do it with three contracts. It's up to you. But you can scale out right before that candle close. And notice I'm not waiting for a low of day, complete low of day. I'm just getting in upon that weak price action and exiting before that candle closes, capturing that move to the downside, capturing that speed and momentum, getting my money, and I'm done. Okay, that's what I love about this slight modification of the break and retest strategy. I just implemented a scalping move within this break and retest strategy. So everything else stays the same, but I'm just scalping with a much larger position size and exiting completely before the candle closes. All right, because I do not. This pullback, if we count these candles, this is 15 minutes. This could be 15, 10 or 15 minutes. And some of these pullbacks could take like, 30 minutes. That's just too much time for me. And it's taxing on my psychology. So for me personally, I just don't like sitting in these trades that long. It's really for the 6 months that I've been trading, for my own personal trading journey and trading style, I do not like the capital, the mental capital that I have to spend sitting in these type of trades for 15, 20 minutes while it's going up or down, and just kind of acting like it's going to move to in your favor, and then it whipsaws back into some other direction. Then you got to wait another 10 or 15 minutes. I just hate it. Like I just really seriously just don't like that. So for me, I like this approach where I can come in, scalp, and I'm done in a matter of seconds. I'm done in a matter of seconds. Same break and retest strategy. Just scalp that move. I'm done in that candle. Couple of seconds, I'm done. And then I can see what the stock, that gives me an opportunity to reset mentally, right? Before I jump back in. Let's see. Just sell place. You do more talking than trading. Trade more, talk less. Where do you keep coming from, my guy? Like, I don't even understand. Like, you missed the entire context of this whole video. So I'm gonna ignore what you're saying right now and continue with what I'm doing. All right. So, and by the way, the I'm not trading live. This is my mentor will be trading live in the next 15 minutes when the market opens, and so I will be starting for people to watch him trade the break and retest strategy live at that time. So this is a pre-market prep. This is a pre-market prep. This is not trading. This is a pre-market prep where I talk about what I'm expecting. I talk about my strategy. I talk about and recap my trades from the previous day or previous week, and recap for the month, since we are approaching month end. So anyway, this is what I like to do, and it gives me an opportunity to reset mentally, to wait for another setup. But I could do that patiently. I just made $700, or I just made $1,000. Now I want to point out something else that you might also notice on my trade journal. You might see a like 13 trades, 9 trades, 15 trades, 11 trades, 8 trades. This is not the number of trades that it takes to make $1,000 a day. I just want to make that very, very clear. It doesn't take these number of trades to make $1,000. I get that in one trade. I can get that in one trade. So I can make $500, $600, $1,000 in just one single trade. Okay. What you're seeing here with these other trades are micro trades that I'm testing out. Okay, on my live account. For some reason, I want to do this on the paper trading side of things, but for some reason, TradeZella won't allow me to import the data from my paper trading account. It's really weird, so I'm really working on trying to see if I can get that resolved. But I still need that data, so I'm taking micro trades on my live account, which I prefer not to, but unfortunately, I can't get the data from my paper trade, and I do not want to manually enter these number of trades. It's too many. So I want to just be able to take the trades and import it into TradeZella, which has that a nice import feature that allows me to do that. So when you see these number of trades, ignore that, like I've been showing you guys. So like if I go to this trade, you can see I made 2,900 just on this one trade. Okay, this one trade. But you can get that in one trade. The other trades are like micro trades, as you can see here. Like I made $26, then I lost $25, and then the first put I entered into. This was more of an aggressive entry, so it kind of whipsawed back on me within that same candle. Then I lost $900, but then I waited more patiently for the setup to happen, and then I entered that trade and exited with 2,900. But obviously, my net gain was only 2K because of that initial loss. So I'm taking a lot of micro trades. So I just want to make sure that's very clear for those of you who are looking at my journals when I post them on the live for TikTok. All right, so that was my recap and what I expect coming into today. All right, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let me reset this chart. Okay, as you can see in the pre-market currently, right? We gapped up. We had a nice move on Friday. We had a nice move on Friday, and this was crazy. So not only did I make 2,000 shorting Tesla, but I was really mentally exhausted, and I was like, yo, I just don't feel like trading anymore. And I saw this V-shaped recovering happening. And I typically take these every single trade, but I was like, yo, I just made 2,000. I just want to chill and relax for the rest of the day. I was done early in the morning. So I was just like, I'm just going to chill. So I could have captured this, and this would have been another $20,000 for me just for this move to the upside. But as you can see, we had a nice push higher toward the end of the session. And then post-market, we consolidated. Pre-market, we gapped up higher, and now we're still pushing higher. Now, notice I have a key level marked out here from the higher time frame of 447.31. 447.31. This is a key level here. As you can see from Friday, we broke above several key levels from the higher time frame. Okay. Now, what I like to do is mark out order blocks from the higher time frames so I can observe them on the lower time frames to see what the stock is doing, especially Tesla, because it really, really helps. So I drew out this 4-hour order block Thursday before Friday's session, and I saw that we dipped heavy. We popped higher in the open, dipped heavy right after that pop, right? Seller stepped in, pushed the price all the way down to close one gap, because we did have a gap that needed to be closed. And then we continued to push lower towards I think it was like 420, 420 and change, right? But look how we dipped into this 4-hour order block, okay? And then buyers stepped in aggressively here. Buyer stepped in aggressively and pushed that price back up towards where we pivoted from early on in the week. Okay, so what I expect coming into today is what I'd like to see is a break above this key level, right, and then a retest back north toward this key level, and wait to see if buyers step in aggressively to see if we will have continuation toward the upside. We are near 450. Okay, now what is the all-time high? If I switch back to the higher time frame, if we jump out to the daily time frame, let me zoom in just a little bit. All right, currently for Tesla, the all-time high is 489, 489.31, 489.31. And in the pre-market, we're currently at 447.15, 447.15. So we have a couple of levels here that we can mark out since we're near 450. Okay, so from the daily time frame, we can mark out a couple of levels here. I like these two down close candles. So I'm going to mark out this level here. Excuse me. And I like this pivot point. I like this pivot point here. So I'll mark out this key level. So we have 440, what is this? 449 and 462. And let me jump down to the 15-minute. And I'm going to get rid of some of these other key levels later. All right, let's look at the 15-minute. Let me zoom out. Okay, yeah. So this is fine for now. All right, so I want to show you what I'm expecting right now. So here, right at the open, like I said, what I like to see is continuation above these two key levels, right? And what I'd be checking for is the reaction off of these key levels. That's why it's important to be like extremely patient to wait and see what will be the reaction off of this key level here. So if we break above this key level, it is possible that we might fail the retest at this level and come back closer towards 447.31. So anyway, I like to see the reaction off of these two key levels here. So this is a nice range to me. It's a $2 range. So I like this range here. So I like to see the reaction off of these two key levels. Either way, if I see buyers stepping in aggressively from this point, then I'll look for a position toward the upside. Like I said, using my scalping approach. With that said, we have roughly 5 more minutes before Scarface and Jack drops the link. So does anyone have any questions before the live trading session begins? This replay will be available in the cloud. So if you want the replay, just DM me. If you don't already have the link to the cloud, it will always be the same link. But if you don't already have that link, just feel free to DM me and I will send you a link to this replay. All right, any questions before we have about 5 minutes? So if no one has any questions, you can feel free to take a break, take a quick coffee break, do whatever you need to do within the next 5 minutes because they will be dropping the link. And for those of you who might be new to this process, what I've done is I've paid $3,500 to join Scarface Trades mentorship. It's been a really phenomenal journey. I've learned so much and made quite a bit of money using what I've learned from their mentorship, from his mentorship. And what I've decided to do was, since I know there's many people who can't afford $3,500, I decided to go live and show how he trades, once a week, every Monday. Okay. So obviously that's what we're doing today. So you'll get the opportunity to watch him trade live. Him and Jack trade live using the break and retest strategy. And you can also ask questions. So I will have to forward those questions over to their Zoom and or Discord. But either way, if you have questions, if I already know the answer, I'll answer it. If not, I'll forward it over to the Zoom chat, and hopefully they'll get around to answering it because they'll spend like almost an hour toward the end of the session. They only typically spend about an hour trading for the actual live session. They only spend like an hour to an hour and a half, and then they're done. But they'll spend, maybe like 20-30 minutes answering questions at the end. All right, so we have about 3 more minutes. Just as an FYI, I know I'm streaming live on TikTok from my mobile device because obviously I can't share my screen until I get a certain number of followers. But those of you who are in the free community, even if you're not in the free community, you could DM me for a link for my other live stream that allows you to see the screen more clearly. So if you're struggling to see the screen clearly, just DM me and I'll send you a link to um, another stream where I'm sharing my actual screen so you can see the charts and everything clearly. All right, so they'll be dropping that link here in the next minute or so. And both replays will be in the cloud, so you can watch at your leisure. You know. Oh, I need to put this on a charger. Okay, here we go.
Mic check, mic check. Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me and see my screen? What's up, everyone? Good morning. Zoom's good. Discord is good as well. Awesome. Let me get this recorded and we'll get started
Recording
here.
in progress.
Alrighty. So yeah, coming into today, today's really the only day we don't have any red folder news in the markets. We do have Trump speaking later into the session. As for the overall pre-market session so far, you can see kind of gapping up over the weekend. We're now right at the 600 key cycle level. Game plan is still intact here coming to market open. If we break above 600, you could be looking for some upside coming to market open. If we pull back, really the next best buying opportunity is going to be this higher low. Right, pull back long off of your previous day highs, 597. As for the SPY, similar thing here. What I like to see coming to market open, really maintain above your 644. If you can maintain above your 644, we can see a potential push towards the upside. If we break underneath your 644, the next best level, similar thing to the QQQ, it's going to be your pullback longs back into your previous day highs, 662. That's going to be the key level here on the higher time frame. So we'll see the reaction that we have within the first really 15 to 30 minutes here on the major indices. That's going to give us more clear direction on where the market wants to go, right? I would like to see, right, next levels, if you can hold above 664, really the next levels that we do have, it's going to back up in towards your all-time highs here for the major indices. Okay, so for some of my top watches coming into today, you can see Tesla, nice push up here on Friday. We end up having some nice pushes here in the pre-market here as well. We're actually breaking above a key level. Now it's going to come back and retest a very important key pivot level from last week, which is basically our key pivot high. So what I like to see here for Tesla really is to maintain above your 445. If you can maintain above your 445, this is going to look good for a potential push back up and towards your pre-market highs and above. That's what I like to see here on Tesla, is really maintain above. Now, 445, basically this 444, which is also going to be your Wednesday's high here as well. So we'll keep an eye out on Tesla coming to market open. It does seem like it's pulling back just a little bit here. So we'll keep an eye out on your 445 coming to market open. As for other names that I'm somewhat interested in, AMD, this one's consolidating. So we're basically inside of a range. I'm not too interested in trading this until we can really break above that 162. As for NVIDIA, this one's slowly pushing back higher here as well. I actually do like NVIDIA showing some strength actually in the pre-market now, key level, previous day highs along with our Thursday's highs. If you can now break above, maintain above your 180, I do like NVIDIA for potential pushback towards the upside. So we'll keep an eye out on NVIDIA. And then really for the rest of the names, a lot more range here. Apple, we did have some news here on Friday. That's why you can see showing a little bit of weakness now here in the pre-market as well. I still like Apple, right? Higher time frames being built, but I like to see really now this 253.50 hold for continuation. Still has this flat top. As for the rest of the names, you can see we're just kind of in consolidation. It does seem like we had maybe some news here on Netflix, but primarily today, we're going to focus in here on Tesla, along with NVIDIA coming to market open. And then for some other tickers, Intel's pulling back into a key level. You can potentially keep an eye on AVGO for 338 break. There's some nice names. Just keep an eye out on your previous day highs and set some alerts. All right, the market is about to open here in 20 seconds. All right, the market is open here. So far, NVIDIA kind of pushing right off the bat. We'll see if Tesla, any sort of buyer step in here as well. Tesla in a very key area here on the higher time frames. You can keep an eye out on the 450s on Tesla. NVIDIA pushing up nicely here as well. So we'll see how these candle closes. Keep an eye out on Tesla. This one's kind of bouncing right off a key area. Really aggressive entry, but you can keep an eye on the 450s. Your risk would be low of day, and you'd be looking for continuation back towards the upside. Okay, Tesla, really strong reaction right off the bat. As I mentioned, if you could have got a really aggressive entry, what we'll be looking for now is basically a risk either off of your 445 or waiting for now. It's going to be the break above your 1 minute opening range for this continuation towards the upside here as well. 450s are in play here on Tesla. The 450 calls. NVIDIA looks good here for a push as well towards the highs. Okay, right off the bat, Tesla pushing up in towards our key levels 450. Nice buyer stepping in right off the bat. We'll look for kind of the first pullback here on this one, similar to NVIDIA. This one, nice strong push right off the bat here as well. We actually do have room towards all-time highs. Keep an eye on NVIDIA as well for a push. This one has room. If you can get above your 182, this one, next level here is going to be your all-time highs. Strong price action so far right off the bat.
Okay, FYI, QQQ is on the far left here, and then to the right is NVIDIA. Below NVIDIA is Tesla, and to the left of Tesla is AMD.
Okay, so what I'll be looking for here is NVIDIA. Now it's going to be the break above your 182.50, potential retest of that for continuation towards all-time highs. And then in Tesla, this one's really strong here as well. Either the retest of your pre-market highs, 447, or now we're going to have to wait for either the break above your 450 or a potential right down close candle. Okay, keep an eye on NVIDIA here. I'm looking at the 185s here. If you can break above this 182 key pivot level, I'll be interested in the 185s, or I'll also be looking at the 182.5s for a potential move towards all-time highs. I do like Tesla here as well. If you can get a pullback on this one's going to look good for a move back towards the upside.
Just a FYI, everyone, this is Scarface's number 2 pro trader. His name is Jack. It looks like Scarface is actually on the text channels because he'll alternate between voice and text because there are many people in his community that prefer just the text. So he's on the text side and Jack is just doing the audio or the live. So unfortunately, Scarface isn't on this video or on this live, but he will be more than likely next week because he's typically on the live on Mondays.
Okay, let's keep an eye on QQQ. Sorry, let's keep an eye on NVIDIA and Tesla here. As it's pulling back, you can see the Qs is right into a key area, 600. All right, Tesla, let's see the reaction that we have off of your pre-market high here, 447.50s. As for NVIDIA, right on my key level here as well, I'm keeping an eye out on the 182.5s on NVIDIA. Yeah, NVIDIA. So I took some of the NVIDIA, the 182.5 calls here, a little bit more of an aggressive entry, but this one has room up and towards your all-time highs. I'm going to look to buy on major dips here for continuation towards the upside. Key level for me on NVIDIA, I like to see really just hold this 182. As I mentioned, this one does have room back up and towards your all-time high. So that's going to be the level I do expect NVIDIA to gravitate towards. And then for Tesla, the key level that I have is going to be this pre-market high 447. All right, so for the QQQ, a little bit of reaction around this 599.80s. If you can get above that 600 key psych, NVIDIA and Tesla are the strongest names. NVIDIA does have room towards all-time highs, as I mentioned. NVIDIA is finding some buyers here with the QQQ. If you can get that Q's reclaim, as I mentioned, above 600, NVIDIA does have room up and towards your all-time highs. Nice kind of pop here on NVIDIA as well, up into this next level, kind of this 184. Q's, nice push. Let's see if we can get above 600. That's going to be key here. NVIDIA looks good. Tesla looks good here as well, starting to curl. Tesla, if you can break back above this key pivot high, you should see some nice momentum above this 450. All right, so Q's a little bit of reaction right here after 600. What we want to see is the reclaim above 600 if you want to see continuation. Let's see if we can get that close above here on the QQQ. Tesla, let's see if we can close back above this 450 here as well. A little bit of rejection here on the Qs, NVIDIA pulling back into a key area. So this is basically the exact level I personally like to see hold on NVIDIA. This 182, 182.50s here. This is where I want to see the buyers step in.
Just a quick update. Scarface is on chat right now, and he's looking at QQQ. He wants to see a candle closure above 599.88, and he's eyeing both Tesla and Nvidia, waiting for the reclaim uh, for Tesla, and then the break and retest for Nvidia. So he likes the retest for Nvidia, but he's still waiting for QQQ. So he's being a little bit more patient. That's Scarface, that is, because again, he's on text.
All right, this is my exact level here for NVIDIA. Basically, your 1 minute down close candle. If the buyers step in here, we can see this push back up and towards your all-time highs. Qs, the key level here is going to be your 600 key psych as well. Tesla's pulling back to your pre-market highs. EMD actually having a really nice push higher. Key level is going to be your previous day highs, 162.20s. All right, Qs, let's see if we can break above 600. NVIDIA, let's see if we can get some strong buyers here as well. I like to see the break back above this 182 pivot here. What I'd like to see is the Qs. The Qs break above 600 is going to be key here. And then basically NVIDIA, the buyers basically have to step in here off this 1 minute down close candle along with this higher time frame key pivot level. As for Tesla, now I'll be a little bit more cautious on this one. Still fairly bullish, but you like to see now it's going to be the break back above your 447. Nice push here on NVIDIA. I actually added into some of my position here on NVIDIA. Risk is going to be a break below here. I want to see this push up in towards our all-time highs now. Qs, if you can get this break here, I think NVIDIA can have a nice push if you can get above high of day. Next room is going to be back up in towards our all-time highs. Nice pop. Q's popping here as well. Let's see if we get this momentum kicking in. We are at high of day. Contracts are moving fairly nicely. You can look to scale up into this area and up in towards your all-time highs. I'm going to look to take off a very small amount just because I added into more of my position. I'm looking for all-time highs here. Let's see if we can get this push. If we can get a strong candle close, we do have all-time highs in play. Q's nice pop here as well. Q's key level is your pre-market high, 650. For NVIDIA, let me get the exact level. Basically, we just had high of day. All right, key level here, 183, and then all-time highs on NVIDIA. Q's pushing nicely here as well. Take some off here on NVIDIA, 183.70s, and then we can leave some for all-time highs, 184.50s. There's a very good chance we could see all-time highs here, but we've rejected this level multiple times. So make sure to take some profits here up into this 183. Really solid move on the contracts, and then we can leave some if it wants to gravitate towards all-time highs. AMD, nice push here as well. Tesla bouncing off key levels, 445 actually. Now it's trying to reclaim. Now what we'd like to see is really maintain above pre-market highs here for the QQQ. In video, we just like to see this, right? We're close to all-time highs. I like to see momentum and volume start kicking in and push towards that break for that all-time highs. AMD semis showing some strength here. AMD breaking above previous day highs here. NVIDIA, let's see if we can get that break. And that alert is loud. All right, so Q is fairly strong so far. SPY, a little bit weaker, but you can see the Qs and the semis pushing up nicely here. Now we just like to see it maintain its pre-market highs. NVIDIA, some buyers stepping in as well. With NVIDIA pushing nicely. Nice push. AMD, really nice push. NVIDIA, really nice push. Look to scale some off into this area. QQQ, nice push here as well. Solid. AMD through your previous day highs. Key level here for AMD, 162.50s. All right, a little bit of an upper wick here on the Q, similar here with NVIDIA. Down close candles we have marked out now, just down close candles, order blocks that we like to see hold for continuation higher. This one does, as I mentioned, have room up in towards your all-time highs, which is your 184.50s. And then in AMD, the semis are looking fairly bullish here. All right, so really now what I like to see, NVIDIA really hold this down, close candle, or just push up in towards your all-time highs. AMD, if you're in this 165 retest, and the Qs just maintain above your previous pre-market highs here, 648. All right, so these names are going to pull back here. Let's see if it holds key levels of support. NVIDIA, this is the level I'd like to see hold down close candle here. 183.20s, it could dig a little bit deeper, but I personally like to see it hold this down close candle. And then for AMD, this one actually has a lot of strength. Breaking higher time frame, potential consolidation break here now on AMD. Key level is going to be your 162.50s. All right, so Qs showing a lot of strength here. Let's see if we can next level on the Qs that I do have. Is really back up and towards our all-time highs here. So that's the level I have for the Qs. We do have 601 as a next kind of key pivot. So far, you can see Qs showing a lot of strength right off the bat compared to the SPY in itself. So the Qs fairly bullish. Key level that we have marked out is now going to be the 650. Okay, so for NVIDIA, this one, I'd like to see it hold. You can see a little bit of reaction here. I personally like to see it hold this down close candle. We're kind of right at it. I do want to see the buyer step in. Most likely, I'm going to give this a little bit more room just because we do have all-time highs. So I personally just like to see it kind of maintain above this higher low for this continued push back up and towards our all-time highs. Okay, so for QQQ now, key level is just going to be this down close candle, 601. AMD still is going to be this 162.50s. As for NVIDIA, as I mentioned, I'd just like to see it maintain a higher low, really above your 182.60s. I'm going to give this a little bit more room, as I mentioned, just because we do have all-time highs. So basically, my stop now is going to be that entry point around that one, basically that higher low, 182.50s. Couple names pushing higher here as well, Google and a few other names. It seems like these ones are basically dragging up the Qs themselves. And then, of course, AMD actually in a very key area. Potentially, you can keep an eye on an AMD pullback down in towards this 162. That's going to be a key area for AMD. Hood had a nice push, break back above your 125. This one's moving nicely. All-time highs is going to be the next level on Hood. Yeah, decent amount of names moved nicer today. AMD and Qs pulling back here, so keep an eye on these ones. AMD in a very key spot, as I mentioned, basically your previous day highs. It's going to be this 162. As for the QQQ, down close candle here is key for continuation higher. NVIDIA, we need to see that reclaim now back above this 183.40s. All right, let's see if NVIDIA can reclaim back above this 183.40s. That's going to be key here. And then for Q so far holding this down close candle, let's see if we can make a new high of day here on the QQQ. A lot of these names look fairly solid on the 1 and also the 5-minute as well. If you're interested in AMD, right, this is going to be your pullback. First kind of pullback here, 162.50s. Q so far holding this down close candle. Q's already back at high of day. Let's see if some of the semis can follow along now. All right, so Qs, we're back at high of day here. What we want to see now primarily is if Qs can make a brand new high, which we are technically just made a new high. Now we're having a little bit of reaction off of. Next level on the Qs is going to be the 60160s. I personally like to just see it hold this down close candle right here that we made. So we had a reaction the first time. That's a level I'd just like to see hold. As for AMD, you just like to see it maintain above this 162.50s. And then for NVIDIA, we like to see it now just kind of build up these higher lows here and then potentially continuation above this 183.70s. For now, we're just gonna wait. We're just gonna manage this on the 5-minute time frame. We'll see if we can push up and towards our all-time highs here. If we can get above high of day, that's gonna be the next key level. As for some other tickers here, Tesla, you had that nice pop right off the bat, but ultimately, no buyers stepped in after that first original pop. Google, nice continuation higher. So a couple of these names moving nicely here. As for Apple, this one right back into the key area. So higher time frame wise, Apple, I just like to see it maintain still intact here on the higher time frames. 153.80s is going to be key. That I like to see hold on the higher on the hourly chart. Intel, nice kind of drop right off the bat. This one's getting bought up. You'd like to see Intel now in a very key spot here on the higher time frames. Intel actually looks really good for kind of this pullback here into your Thursday's highs. All right, let's see here for the Qs now. We're coming into 10 o'clock here as well. We don't have any red folder news. The only thing that we do have is we do have Trump speaking later into the day. And then we also have red folder news really the rest of the week. So we'll see what happens here coming into 10 o'clock for the overall indices. We'll see if we can get this pop here with the Qs back up and towards high day and above. All right, Nvidia and AMD coming back down here. I'd personally like to see Nvidia maintain above this higher low here on the 1 minute time frame. If it breaks underneath, technically we'd still be intact here on the 5 minute because it would be above your 182.50 along with this 1 minute order block. But I'd personally like to just see it kind of hold this higher low if you want to see a push back towards the upside. And then AMD, you like to see it just maintain 162.50s here. All right, let's see what happens here with the QQQ coming to 10 o'clock. See if we can get some buyers to step in here on the Qs and push this back towards high of day. All right, QQQ still holding this 1 minute down close candle. 10 o'clock just came in here as well. Let's see if we can get some volume to pick up here on the Qs and push this back up in towards high of day and above. That will be key for continuation. Yeah, hood's going crazy. I have some alerts going off on this ticker. This one now, all-time highs, is going to be the next level on hood. But this one so far, really strong trend to start off the day. Qs back at high of day. We want to see this have continuation. We don't want to see a reject here. It seems like it could potentially reject off our key level, which is at 1,601.66. Yeah, a little bit of rejection there. We wanted to see that pop. We got that pop, but you can see ultimately kind of this up close candle, sorry, closed underneath your high of day. NVIDIA coming back down here. So it's basically coming back down to my entry point. So yeah, a little bit of rejection there on the Qs. We weren't able to close above high of day, which was key. You can see SPY kind of rejecting a key spot here as well. So that's why some of these names are pulling back like AMD and NVIDIA. NVIDIA, I'm most likely just going to give this a little bit more room just because we do have all-time highs. The key level for me is just going to be this 182.50. If you look at this on the 5 minute time frame, right? This one for me looks fairly good, right? Big push higher as long as you can maintain above your 182.50. I like to see kind of this push up and towards high day and potentially, right? What we have here is your all-time highs, right? You have your all-time highs in play. If you can break above your all-time highs, I think we can have a really big move higher. So I'm just gonna maintain it, just give it a little bit more room. Key level now for me is just gonna be this down close candle. I just like to see Nvidia really maintain above your 182.50 for this continuation higher. All right, so now for the overall market, we just had 10 o'clock here as well. You can see SPY, if I pulled up the SPY chart, just a lot more consolidation today. Not too much to talk about here. We're kind of just consolidating inside of this range. Qs, nice push higher. A couple names dragging up the Qs here. But ultimately SPY, pretty choppy for a Monday. We end up having a nice solid trade on NVIDIA. I'm still going to maintain it just because I have that higher time frame thesis. But if you're on the 1 minute, all right, you could either cut as it broke underneath this 183 or maybe as it came back down here. Let me read the chat. I haven't read the chat today. You guys take any trades today? NVIDIA, AMD, there's actually a couple nice opportunities. Even Hood had a really solid, nice push towards the upside, and a few other tickers as well. I think Hood was super solid, and then NVIDIA and AMD. We'll see if NVIDIA still has continuation. This one, in my opinion, is like textbook for a push higher. We had that nice pop right off our key level, slowed down just a little bit with the overall markets, but I still think this one can have room just based off that higher time frame thesis. Hood, perfect, very nice. You guys took Hood, awesome. Let's see, Apple. Yeah, so the Apple ones, as I mentioned, this one for me, key is going to be, I'm looking at this on the 1 hour time frame. Most likely, if it breaks underneath this 153, I'll probably cut the remainder, right? Hit my key level. I took profits on day one. Now I'm just kind of holding the contracts. We still do have room since we do have until end of week. But most likely, because on Friday we had some news that, I wouldn't say bearish news, but we had some news on Friday. Now it's kind of staying heavy. I'd like to see 153. So for Apple key level for me, I'd like to see it just maintain this higher low. Right, higher lows preferably close back above your 153 for continuation. And then for Nvidia, right, the game plan, right, all-time highs. There's a good chance we push up and towards this all-time highs here on this ticker. Took Google, Hood, nice. AMD, Hood scalp. Nvidia still holding trailers unless it breaks on the 5. NVIDIA shorted AMD. Are you still? Yes. What's your stop? So my stop now, since I just have remaining trailers, I'm just going to wait for the higher low. So basically on this ticker now, my key level, I'd personally like to see it maintain above your 253 on the daily chart. So I'm not going to look at every single 1 minute candle, right? I'd like to see it just maintain, preferably above, right, this higher low. If you can maintain higher lows, we can see this push back up and towards your all-time highs here. This push back up and towards your 257 here on Apple. My thesis will really be invalidated if we break underneath your 253, or if we come all the way back down and towards your 252 and potentially push lower here. All right, so we're getting some buyers stepping in here on Qs. AMD actually right in towards, I think this was our previous day highs. So previous day highs on AMD, I think just touched by a tick. Let's see. Yeah, this higher time frame key level plus your previous day high. So AMD is still holding key levels. Let's see if we can get that push here on NVIDIA. Let's see that volume pick in. So it kind of dried up, consolidated. Now what I like to see is, right, Qs, big push higher. NVIDIA, if you can get some volume kicking in, big break up and towards this all-time highs. But we're going to need the Qs to break high of day. And then we're going to also need NVIDIA buyers to step in back above this 183.40s. NVIDIA, Palantir, nice. NVIDIA, first time having profit. Thanks, Jack and Tony, nice. Tesla likes to go high, then retrace the support. Yeah, Tesla usually likes to do its own thing every once in a while. NVIDIA, small NVIDIA, 5 cons, 207, TP, 3 cons at 2, 230. Okay, let's see if we can get this volume to kick in here on NVIDIA. QQQ pushing here as well. AMD still holding higher time frame key level. All right, so QQQ, we're back at high of day here, kind of right around this 601.60s. That's the key level I kind of rejected from last time. Qs now as well. Let's see if we can break above high of day on, the SPY. That's going to be key. SPY above high of day, basically above this 664, which it needs to break above for continuation. As for AMD, still holding up. This one looks good. You like to see it make a brand new high. kind of use your previous day highs as support. That's basically what it's doing currently here on the higher time frames. We're using your previous day highs, 162. You like to see AMD push back towards the upside here. And then for NVIDIA, this one's consolidating a bit more. I personally like to see it push higher here, but 5 minutes still very much intact. Yeah, Qs, pop. Seems like SPY popping here as well. All right, let's see if we can get that Qs close above high of day here. Along with SPY. SPY, if you can get that close above. I'm not sure if we had news there. Okay, so for the Qs now, we broke above high day. Now we just like to see it maintain the 601. That's going to be key for the SPY. We just like to see it maintain above your basically high day. At least 664 is going to be key. AMD looks really good, kind of this retest off of your previous day highs. On the 1 minute, it doesn't really look like much, but on the higher time frames, if you're looking at this one looks solid. Kind of this higher previous day high break and retest. This one to me looks like it potentially can move back up and towards your 164 here. If you can get above high day. NVIDIA, I still like this one. It seems like it's just going to consolidate just a little bit more. But this one still has room, as I mentioned, back up and towards your all-time highs. If you can, now it's most likely going to consolidate, take a little bit longer. But I'm still going to maintain as long as you can hold above your 182.50s. That's going to be key for me. But yeah, for the overall market now, Qs, SPY, the key levels. All right, we have everything set. Okay. Let me read the chat here. If you guys also do have any questions, you guys can drop in the chat. I'll actually probably only answer them for like 5 to 10 minutes because we do have our event, day 2 of the event at 12 p.m. So I got to get ready for that. Make sure there's no issues today. But yeah, we do have the event. If you guys aren't signed up for that, that one's going to be really good, super solid. Day number 1, we had some technical issues, but day number 2, this one's going to be packed full of information. Of course, day number 3 is going to be awesome as well. Let's see. AMD, thoughts on AMD? Yeah, AMD, I like AMD entry was solid, right? Right off of your kind of previous day highs. If you got in 10 a.m., let's see, thoughts on AMD entry at 10 a.m. That one was solid as well. Your risk, maybe if you got stopped out, you could have been looking for the re-entry, right? If you're looking for an entry at 10 a.m. and then you had to stop maybe at 162 and then you stopped out and maybe re-entered, that could have been a possibility as well. Waiting for a candle close, and I don't usually win trade because my 2-hour target's far away. Any advice? It should be based off of your underlying, right? It shouldn't be based off of risk to reward because that is, right, you can change this. I could be like, oh, it's like 1 to 2, depending on your entry. It should be based off key levels. Key levels we have 183, 184, all-time highs. So your opportunity should, right, have a potential, right, 1 to 2 at a minimum, but right, you want to base it off of the chart and not your risk to reward because that's always going to be different. What do you think about the AMD? I like this one on the higher time frames. Finally starting to break out. It seems like semis are starting to push higher here as well. AMD's been in consolidation for a very long time. So if you can break out, you can see a potential fairly nice move on here on AMD. Day 1 recorded. Yes, it should have been sent out. The recording should have been sent out. So make sure to check the emails. Is the event on YouTube? Yeah, we're gonna do it on YouTube just to make it nice and easy. We're most likely gonna send out the link as well. Um, Apple swing. Yeah, as I mentioned, so Apple, the thing about Apple now is so we took profits on day one. It offered a really solid entry. Sorry, exit point now. I'm just gonna hold. I'm just gonna see as long as it maintains structure, I'm gonna hold as long as we can maintain above that 153. Right. I'm not gonna look at it on every single 1 minute candle. I'm gonna maintain this on the higher time frames. For me, my game plan, I'm just gonna hold as long as it maintains the 153, I'm just gonna hold based off the 1 hour chart. NVIDIA 50 cons, great way to start off the week. Thanks, guys. All right, nice. Okay, I am most likely going to call it a day here. I'm going to have this live session uploaded for you guys. We'll have the live event, so we got to get ready for that. It's going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then what else do we have? Some bookkeeping items, Traders Lab for Neto. We have other things. Yeah, we basically have this event going on right now. So we have a bunch of things to do, but after the event is done, I think it's tomorrow, then everything's gonna, I mean, basically everything's already normal. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm just gonna maintain NVIDIA as long as it maintains above this 182. And then for the Apple, similar thing, as long as it maintains above 253, right? I'm gonna maintain this one on the higher time frame. So I will see you guys. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this, and then I'll see you guys all for the event. That's going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, take care, everyone. I will see you guys all in a bit. Peace.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that live session. Unfortunately, Scarface wasn't on the live, but he did take. Let's see, he did take the Nvidia trade. Yeah, so he took. Let me see here. All right, so yeah, he took the one. Let me pull this over so you guys can see that. He took the 182.50 calls for NVIDIA, waiting for that break and retest and strong price action plus Qs, right? He was waiting for that candle closure for Qs, and so he got that scaled at high of day. He said, beautiful retest, take some off at high of day, then we can look for all-time highs. He took more off on NVIDIA, nice push. Yeah, QQQ had a nice push higher, but NVIDIA 184 is incoming. Let's see. Skill on strength. Yeah, AMD was nice. All right, so for the remainder of cons, you like to hold this one candle rule. So this is the level that he has marked out. So as long as it holds this one candle or 1 minute order block, as you can see, it's dipping down into 183. 33 for that order block. So a close below, not a wick below, but a candle closure below this is likely where he'll exit. And I think that's all he said for. Yeah, he's just going to keep an eye on NVIDIA for the remainder. So far, still holding. So you can see here, it did wick. Yeah, but he'll still hold it. So he'll still hold these. And that, what I love about one little side note, what I love about what his approach is that, he's been doing this consistently for, 7 years. So he knows what will work and he knows how much he's willing to risk um, in terms of how much he's willing to lose on any particular trade. And I think this is really motivational, right? And it's inspiring to see because when you get to that level in terms of your overall brokerage account value, then you see that you can actually start, holding these trades for a little bit longer, um, until they stop you out versus, suffering those significant drawdowns, because a $8,000 drawdown for him isn't that much when he has $1 million plus account. But yeah, so I just wanted to point that out. Oh, did anyone see what Tesla did today in the excuse me, in this open session? If not, let me point that out really quick. All right, so this is a really good example. And I want to show something here too, because remember, well, some of you who've already been following and watching Scarface's videos on social media, he likes to look for trades that will offer him a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio, right? So with that said, what he's looking for is for every $100 he risks, he's looking to make $200, right? So, which is really great. And I want to show you something that I also discovered. Let me pull up my TradeZella account again. Oh, did it log me out? Should have already been logged in. Okay, cool. All right, so let me show you this trade first. All right, so look here. Notice we had this nice pop higher right at the open, and then sellers stepped in to short the stock, and we started making lower highs, right? And so sellers are still pushing price lower, so sellers are still in control. Now, this is the key. This I love these, and what I also yo, this is crazy, because what I also discovered is that you make more money quickly on puts than you do for calls. So I don't know if you guys know this already, but you make money more quickly on puts than you do for calls, because the way those puts move. Oh my goodness. So let's say, so in this case, right, this is the level that I'm looking at. 444.41, right? The open of this up close candle right here, right? Not the wick, this level here. Okay. When I see sellers stepping in to push the price lower, shorting the stock, right? I want to see price break below this level on this candle. And once we did this, this gives me a little bit more confidence that price will continue lower, right? It's not always a guarantee. So what I like to wait for next, the next condition, is the next set of up close candles. Okay. I'm on the 1 minute time frame, by the way. So every candle is 60 seconds. But listen to this very carefully. So notice we only have one up close candle in this trend, in the leg of this trend. And notice the size of this candle, right? So we didn't even reach near these other up close candles in this trend, or in this leg of the trend. Okay. And then right after that, look at this candle. Look at this down close candle. Let me zoom out so you guys can see this. Look at this down close candle. What I like to see is two things. This is the third condition when I look to scalp within this break and retest. So notice where we had a nice retest to this 20 EMA several times, right, making lower highs. And then right here, I'm expecting, because you can see it, and if you go back and check the charts for Tesla, you'll see this every time it never fails, right? And so we had this up close candle, and then sellers just stepped in very aggressively. Now look, this is the open of this candle, and we push past it, right? So we push past the open of the up close candle, and we're also past the open of the initial open candle, right? When the market opened. And so this is where I look to step in. As soon as we break below, either like right at this point, like if I see, like, say the candle is, pretend like this candle is forming now, right? And so it's here, and then there's this quick jump, or spike to this level here. That's when I enter my trade, and then I'll capture this move to the downside. So you can see from 443.32 to 441. 62. That's a $2 move right there. And so that's significant money. Now, because I'm on the live session, it's harder for me to concentrate. So I did take this scalp, but I only entered three cons for this particular move, and I made $290 on that put for three Tesla contracts. I made almost $300. Now they would have been much more if I had made entered a larger position size, but I didn't because it's harder for me to concentrate when I'm on live, trying to concentrate on watching the live chat, making sure I'm answering questions and not leaving people hanging. So I decided to take a small position, scalp, just with three cons, and made a quick, $300. Now, before this trade, I took the Nvidia trade. I looked for Nvidia scalp in the same thing after that break and retest upon strength. And right before I was up like $50. And then as soon as I tried to exit the position, it snapped in that same candle. It snapped back or whipsawed, and then I ended up losing 50. So 300 Tesla minus 50, from the Nvidia loss. So I'm up, like a little over $250, right? For today. Now, the second thing that I wanted to show, this is very key. Remember, I talked about the risk reward ratio that Scarface Trades likes to look for. And if you look at my trading journal, you can see the profit factor is 1.0, right? 1.0. Okay. And you're like, well, you're just getting a 1-to-1, right? So for every $100 you risk, you're only making $100. That's what this means. Now, if I go to today, or not today, but let's go to Friday, because I didn't put today in the journal yet. So if I go till today, look at the profit factor. It's 3.1, 3.1. And this is just with the one scalp. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I'm able to get those profit factors, that risk reward ratio, even with the scalps. And I was testing this like on the paper trade side of things, and then with the live trade side of things. So you could still reach that risk reward, in the same way. Like, so you could do it, you could approach it two ways. You can hold your position like Scarface and Jack does, but it's not required, right? You can also hit that risk reward based on your, the same strategy: break, retest, wait for strength or relative weakness, jump in, scalp, with a, position size, a significant position size. So if you can only do one contract, just do the one contract. Your risk reward ratio is still going to be, that 2, 3, 4, 5. And in some cases, it's even greater. Because I had a few, what was that? Let me see. I think I had one where it was like 8. It was like 5 or 8. I was like, yo, that's crazy. But anyway, so you can see just from this particular trade or scalp, I was able to reach a profit factor of 3.1. So that's pretty significant. I thought I'd share that with you guys for anyone who's interested and might find that valuable, because you don't have to hold positions for that long. Obviously, you see that on this NVIDIA trade, both Jack and let me jump over to NVIDIA. Both Jack and Scarface are holding through this consolidation, and it almost stopped them out, but it just kind of wicked to that level and then just continued more consolidation. So who knows if this will break out and continue higher, or just continue to fall and stop them out. But you can see, if you count, right, this is, let's see, from the entry, they got in, yeah, I think they got in about right here. So we have about, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's just say 30 minutes, right? So from, what was that, 8:40? So almost an hour. And like I said, for me, I just hate the mental capital that I have to spend just sitting, waiting for that continuation. I just prefer to be in and out. So that's why I just modified the approach just slightly, just scalping. So unfortunately, I missed. I got in here, but I got in like soon as we broke this level on Nvidia, and then it was like, I guess when they filled the order, it was about like right here or something, because for some reason I was down negative, and I thought I got in early enough. But I when you take those mark, when you enter a position, you could choose limit order or market order, and it just put me in a drawdown. And so this whipsaw back, took the $50 I had gained on this Nvidia play, and exited me with a negative $50 loss on that one. So anyway, but I like to be in and out. And as you can see with Tesla, I mean, it moved very, very quickly, and so I was able to capture that and get in and get out. So just that move right here, and like I said, this is a significant candle. So if you were able to, if you were able to, capture this, this was a $3 move to the downside. So really quick scalp. I'm in, I'm out, and I'm done with $300. So here's my because I didn't get this in the brokerage yet. So here's my, why did it just flip? So 232 today, because of that $50 loss from Nvidia. So it would have been 280, 282, but so 282 or 232 for today. If I see another setup for Tesla, then I'll look to enter. But right now, it looks like as I showed in the pre-market, you see how we wicked to that 450, almost 451 key level, and then rejected off of that level. So we might even continue lower for this session, which is why I only drew that one additional key, those two additional key levels in the from the higher time frame, because I didn't really feel confident that we were going to, continue above 450, because analysts were already saying, hey, 450 is the mark. So I was like, well, typically what Tesla will do is just kind of swing high, then swing low, and just continue that. So we might see today, for the rest of the day for Tesla, a lot of swing high, then swing low, swing high, swing low, and just do that for the rest of the session. Keep in mind that why might this be the activity for today's session? Well, earnings is coming up here shortly. Earnings will be on the 11th, I think it is. The 15th of October. So we have earnings coming up. And look at this. Look at this candle. This is great. Look at the wick on this. This is crazy. But like I said, you can see why it's important to just kind of wait. I waited, and once you see sellers stepping in, then you just go ahead and jump in, and you can capture that move. And I like this because it's not anticipatory, where you're like in the break and retest. Typically, you're just, you get in upon strength, and then you just have to kind of wait, and there might be a pullback right after. Which is healthy, right? You expect the pullbacks, but typically when that pullback happens, it can pull back to the point where it stops you out. So with that said, I like to wait and see that we're clear. We're basically clearing that key level. So we're reclaiming certain price levels, and we're pushing below like these two levels here. And then I jump in, and then I make the money. So it's been working now. It's been working for the past 2 weeks, as you can see, based on my trade journal. So after that holding on Monday, I'm like, I'm done with that. And so I was consistently hitting, 1K pretty much for the rest of the to those weeks. So we'll see how long this continues. Hopefully I can continue to remain consistent with this approach, but only time will tell. So if I see that I'm able to stay consistent for a year, then that would be the evidence. 6 months I think is cool, but let's see how I'm able to do within certain market conditions. So far so good, but we just have to wait and see. Today it worked out. Made a quick scalp. $230 is the net gain, and then I'll wait to see what happens Monday to close out the month strong. So far for this month, I'm up 66K. Jack was up. He's up 75. He made 75,000 this month, and obviously, you guys know Scarface made significantly more. I think he's made over. I think he's over 200,000 this month. So, anyway, if you guys don't have any questions, that's it for today's session. By the way, I would highly recommend if you haven't. I would highly recommend if you have not already, check out this. Let's go to it. General chat. This video here that LJ recommended. This is really good. Like he really touched on a couple of key points throughout the entire video. It is 30 minutes. It won't feel like 30 minutes as you're watching it because it didn't feel like 30 minutes to me. But I did highlight a couple of things just to give you a quick snapshot of what you can expect when you watch the video. So where is that at? News, audio excerpts. All right, so hopefully you all can see this clearly. Let me pull this over and zoom in. All right, so starting from the top, but the market isn't a slot machine. So I want to read like three of these really quick before you all drop. But the market isn't a slot machine. And what he was saying is that the market doesn't pay you for being active. It pays you for being right, right? And so many people try to jump into various trades hoping that they're going to get money and get paid, but they're not doing the work necessary to carefully watch the charts, be patient, wait for the setup. Don't try to jump in aggressively. Sometimes you'll notice Jack, he might jump in aggressively, whereas Scarface, he'll wait more. He'll be a little bit more patient. So you can, it's okay to be aggressive as long as you're willing to accept the loss. The danger of impatience. I like what he said here. He said the market won't reward you for almost setups. So you have to, professionals, they look for the right trade. Okay, so they will wait until the setup actually confirms itself. So whether you're waiting for the indices to show strength or weakness, depending on which position you want to take, but you're waiting patiently for the setup to actually occur. There was another one too. Execution is fast. I really like this one. This is toward the end of the video. He said that, but the professional studies it daily. The narrowing range, he's talking about the charts, the volume patterns, the way buyers step in at support. The professionals are ready. They know the price levels that matter. Okay. And so they're ready to jump in because that execution needs to be fast. Time is very important. And so preparation, though, execution is fast, but preparation, however, takes hours, days, sometimes weeks. But it's the preparation that makes the execution possible. It gives you the confidence and the confirmation that you need to enter that trade and go from there. So I really like this. I really like that video. So I recommend that you guys, watch it if you need. Let me go to it. It's what was that? It's in Discord. Jesse Livermore's Secret to Mastering Trading Patience: How to Learn to Wait for Setups. And it's interesting because although he mentioned these things, these were the things that I've discovered or learned either from Scarface or Curtis, my other mentors, and just watching the charts for the past year, starting in 2024. Not trading, just watching and studying the chart. So I did that for 1 year before I actually began trading. So yeah, everything that he said, that I can confirm from my own personal trading journey, that everything that he said is spot on. Although it would have been helpful to kind of know some of these things before, but even looking in retrospect, like obviously I know these things now, but yeah, it was pretty dope. So appreciate that recommendation, LJ. And thank you all for joining today's live. Like I said, I'm going to have both of these sessions uploaded in the cloud. And you only need one single link to access it. So for those of you who are interested, if you don't already have that link, feel free to DM me and I will get you that link. Other than that, that's it for today's session. You can join. We'll be going live again on the next week, Monday, same time, same place. So I'll do the pre-market prep, and then we'll transition over into the live session. All right. So other than that, that's it. Appreciate you guys for joining. Hope you all found this valuable. And till next video, it's your man Ace. I'm gonna drop the mic right here. I'm out.